did the MCU just lose Spider-Man? The Matrix might be coming back, and we'll go through the most iconic movie moments of the past 21 years. Welcome to the newest episode of SDW.
Super Dario World!
It's a me,
Dario!
Woohoo! Let's go!
All right, so a lot of stuff, a lot of big stuff. I had a lot of people messaging me over this, so I'll get into the Spider-Man thing. Just let me give you a quick reminder. You can find the podcast in the iHeartRadio app. Just type in the show presents Super Dario World Podcast. You'll find it right there, or you can find it on YouTube, SoundCloud, and iTunes as Super Dario World Podcast. Also, if you want to contact me directly, you can find me on Instagram at Dario the Show. You can send any comments, questions, or suggestions right there. This is where to contact me. Okay, let's get into the Spider-Man thing. Let's get into the whole Spider-Man thing, because I had a lot of people freaking out, but I don't think they should be freaking out. To me, as soon as I read the headline that Spider-Man is out of the MCU and all that stuff, I figured that it was basically contract negotiations via press, right? Or a misunderstanding or a wrong leak, because it just didn't make any sense, especially after the success of Far From Home. After reading a little bit into it and hearing the Sony's later response from everything, I'm guessing that was the case. It's all pretty much just their negotiation, Marvel and Sony negotiating via press. Now, for those of you who don't know, this is what happened. Sony owns the rights to Spider-Man and some of the characters related to Spider-Man. So, as long as they keep making Spider-Man movies, they hold the rights to that character. Marvel wanted to use Spider-Man because Spider-Man is the crown jewel of the Marvel Universe. So they basically made a deal where they leased out Spider-Man so that they could start using them in their films and start producing Spider-Man films. However, they are still Sony. He's still a property of Sony. The Spider-Man movies that come out are still pretty much Sony. Now, they had a deal where it was like a 95 to 5% split on the cost of the movies and on the profits and all that stuff, which... I don't know the exact split. It doesn't say here in the article. However, Disney now wanted to change that deal and make it a 50-50 co-financing arrangement and also a 50-50 split on the winnings. Now, that to me is kind of bullshit in many ways, because first off, you already had a deal, right? You had a deal, it was working out, and it was successful for everybody. Now, Spider-Man is Sony's biggest property ever. Right? It's the movie I think that's made the most money they've ever had. So how are you going to now are you going to come up to me and try to take away half my money, half my property? It's the most valuable property I have. And here's the kicker. Disney and Marvel, they own the rights for all the merchandise. So Disney, every single time a Spider-Man movie comes out, the ones that make money from all the products is Disney, all right? They're getting all that money. So not only are they getting all the merchandising stuff, which if you ask George Lucas or if you ask freaking Daniel Radcliffe is where all the money is, they also they don't own the property. So they now they want to strong arm them to take away half of their stuff, make them put in half the money and all that stuff. We had a deal. I own this. This is my property, okay? When I rent out a car, you don't own half my car, right? If I rent you out my car, if I rent out my house, doesn't mean you own half of it. If the value of said house goes up, it's still all mine. You don't get half of it. That's not how that works. I own the property. Marvel made the mistake, I guess. Well, you can't say it was a mistake because it led to... you could argue the first Spider-Man movie is what led to the MCU. You could argue it. Anyway... So you can't just all of a sudden, out of nowhere, come out and try to take it from me. It's not how that works. I own it. They own it. And it's interesting because I'm trying to find who has the stronger position here. Because to me, this is all negotiation. It's going to work out. Disney would lose more money from losing Spider-Man, and it would completely fuck up their universe. But I think right now, this second, the ones that would lose more would be Sony. Like this very second today, the ones who are going to take the bigger hit today would be Sony. Because everybody's worried that, now the Spider-Man movies are going to suck. Everybody's worried about Sony's stock actually immediately dropped following the news of the Marvel split. So immediately, the first people to feel the hit is Sony. That's why I think that they're that their message today kind of the release to the statement today, and I'll just read it for you, was a lot softer than it could have been. And here's what it says. Much of today's news about Spider-Man has mischaracterized recent discussion about Kevin Feige's involvement in the franchise. By the way, Kevin Feige is the executive producer pretty much of the whole MCU. Anyway, continuing, we are disappointed but respect Disney's decision to not have him continue as the lead producer of our next live-action Spider-Man film. We hope this might change in the future, but understand that the many new responsibilities that Disney has given him, including all their newly added Marvel properties, do not allow time for him to work on IP they do not own. That's intellectual property. Kevin is terrific, and we are grateful for his help and guidance and appreciate the path he has helped put us on, which we will continue. Now, there's a lot there, and for what I originally heard is that there was an issue over a production credit. So to me, what they're saying here is that Kevin Feige will no longer be working on the film. So if he's not working on the film, what does he get a producer credit, right? Usually there's an executive producer credit that they give people pretty much for being a figurehead. Sometimes you'll read like, oh, produced by Steven Spielberg. Steven Spielberg didn't do shit. He just lent out his name to help out somebody, or they paid him just to lend out his name so that it gives the movie a little bit more weight. Now, on the other hand, Kevin Feige is the head of the MCU, and if they're making movies in the MCU, it would make sense why it would be there. I don't know. I'm guessing they're just arguing over pennies. If I have to guess, I'm guessing it's a way for them to get an extra percentage. It's a way for Disney to get an extra percentage. More squeeze more blood out of the stone, I guess. But the point here is, from that statement, Sony sounds like, hey, you know what? We're not splitting up. We're not splitting up. Everything's cool. Everything's fine. So I think, if I have to guess, this was a move by Disney to make it sound like it was over, like it was a breakup. And the thing that makes me think that is that Sony's stock price immediately dropped. Now, it could have been that Sony, they got a little too big for their heads. They thought that, oh yeah, well, we made this movie. We're the ones that made it all successful. We should keep everything. And screw you, Disney. And then all of a sudden their stock drops and they're like, oh shit, we got to backtrack this. We got to backtrack this. We got to backtrack this, which is understandable. However, oh, by the way, I didn't finish my previous example. If you rent a car and when we make a deal, I have a car and you rent it out and I say, and you're going to Uber it with it, right? You're going to use it for Uber. I'll be like, all right, fine. You can use the car if you are willing to pay, if you give me 95% of the profits and if you put 95% of the costs. So, which means that you will be putting the gas in, you will be like changing the oil, you will be doing all that stuff. I'll pay 5% and I'll get like a certain percent, most of the earnings for it. I think it's still 95. I don't know. You could say no. Disney could have said no to Spider-Man and gone on ahead without him. Now they're fucked. So, I just want to use that example because they agreed to it, so they're fucked. Anyway, so it seems like Marvel was strong-arming them that way, like affecting their stock. However, it affects Sony today. However, if Sony to me has all the power here. They own the property. They own Spider-Man. So if they just step back and say, you know what? Fuck you. You know what? Fuck you. I don't want you to have Spider-Man. I will still make Spider-Man movies that make hundreds of millions of dollars. They may not be up in the billions, but they'll still be hundreds of millions of dollars. And for you, your MCU will be completely fucked from now on because it was you who made Spider-Man the centerpiece again. Far From Home, but I might be doing a few spoilers here, but I'll try not to. Spider-Man Far From Home put Spider-Man in the central role of the MCU. And also, guess what? You don't have anybody else. Thor left with the Guardians of the Galaxy. Now he's a part of them. The Ass Guardians of the Galaxy. They might be the centerpiece. They might be the new centerpiece, which would be great because I think the Guardians of the Galaxy are the best part of the MCU right now. But solo character, the best one, the heart of the MCU is Spider-Man. Almost everybody's favorite character is Spider-Man. So, again, you painted yourself into a corner, Disney. You made him that big. You made him that important because you know who it is. Everybody knows who Spider-Man is for the Marvel Universe in general. He's probably the most beloved character in the Marvel Universe. Rightly so. So, you're kind of fucked here. It's honestly, it's better. You're still going to make money out of it. right? Because I'm assuming how it goes, if I have to guess, you put 95% of the cost in, you get first return on investment, which means that the 95% you get back, and then the earnings, which is everything that comes out afterwards, it would be a split. Even if it's a 95-5 split on $1 billion, you're still making money, plus you get all the merchandising. I think you're doing fine. I think you're coming out winning on that one. So, honestly, this is just a pissing contest at one point. If I were Sony, I would just back off, especially because there's an interesting opportunity here. Because everybody now that Spider-Man is Spider-Man is broken up from the MCU, there's a chance that there might be a Deadpool Spider-Man movie. It's likely not going to happen. It's almost impossible. But there's rumors about it. So if they're smart, if Sony's smart, they should start playing up this like crazy. People have been reaching out to Ryan Reynolds like crazy. Dude, now this is an opportunity for Deadpool Spidey. If I were Sony, I would hint at that like crazy. Like, all right, well, we don't have this commitment anymore. Maybe, like we'll do this bromance movie between Spider-Man and Deadpool. Who knows? So, honestly, there's too much money on the table for like Sony and Disney to step away. This collaboration has been too good for both of them. So somebody's going to blink eventually. I doubt that the stock owners at both companies are going to be like, you know what, we just want to we want to miss out on another $1 billion movie. And especially because I think Marvel has more to lose. So I think the ones that are going to blink are Disney. That's just my... If I have to guess, I have to put money on it. I say that Disney's the one that's going to blink. It's probably going to end up being like maybe a 20-80, like 20-80% deal that comes out in the end. Maybe. I don't see how Sony would up in more. It would be stupid. It would be very stupid of them because, again, they hold the upper hand here. They own the character. And one of my policies in life is try to never start a fight with somebody who doesn't have to do anything to beat you. Like, the only thing they have to do to win is nothing. Never start a fight with somebody like that. Ever. Because you'll lose. Like, for example, let's say I get pissed off at my neighbor. Because my neighbor is, he's got music super loud and gives me headaches. So, if I go out to my neighbor and start yelling at him, like, turn the fucking music off, blah, blah, my neighbor, all he has to do is close the door and put the music up. As long as he's doing it within the legal hours, there's nothing I can do. There's absolutely nothing I can do about it. So in that situation, you would probably be political. And you'll try to be nice and be like, hey, dude, I'm sorry. I have some migraines. I know you enjoy your music. It's fine. I don't want to bother you. But if you could just lower it a little or aim the speakers to go in another direction, it's rough for me. I get up super early, try to take naps in the middle of the day. It would really help me out. I really appreciate it. And it would be extremely cool of you. So there's a difference there. One, I'm picking a fight. The other one, I'm just trying to request something from somebody who has all the power in that situation. Now, if it were the middle of the night, this is a completely different situation because you can call the cops. This is not that. Here, there's no cops that Disney can call. They can only try to find an agreement that's profitable for both of them. And what's profitable for both of them is not a 50-50 split. Nowhere even close. So I think Disney's going to blink on this one because Sony doesn't have to. Like, the only thing that affects them is the immediate stock drop, but I don't see it. Well, you know what? Better said, I hope they don't blink. I hope they just stand their ground, take the hit a little bit now, and just go for gold. Start spreading out the rumors of Deadpool and all that stuff, and see where there goes. Anyway, so moving on to other news. That's my take on Spider-Man. Moving on to other news, it was announced that there was going to be Matrix 4, where Keanu Reeves, Carrie-Anne Moss, and Lana Wachowski are returning. Okay, how do I feel about this? After the end of the third Matrix movie, everybody and their mother expected there to be a fourth because the ending sucked, and it also teased that at the return of Neo, the possible return of Neo. So the ending sucked. The problem is that the Matrix third movie, the Matrix, what was it, Revolutions, sucked. And so everybody expected there to be a fourth one, particularly because of the end of it. And now it might be too late. It might be a little bit too late. There's, I don't know. And also the ending was so bad. So a part of me is excited because Keanu right now is at the top of his game. You know, he took kind of like a little dip in his career. Right now he's back on top. So I don't think he would just pick up a script and be like, all right, fine, I'll do this crappy movie. I think that he would only agree to come back if they gave him something good. So hopefully it is good because it's confirmed. They're saying it's confirmed. So also the Wachowskis haven't really done much that's good in quite a minute. So I don't know. Let's just say I'm hopeful, but I'm concerned about this one. Anyway, for those of you who listened to the show this morning, you know that this morning we talked about, Rotten Tomatoes is 21 years old today, and to celebrate their 21st birthday, they made a list of the 21st most memorable movie moments of the past 21 years. And you could vote for your best and all that stuff, whatever. The point is, I got clips here, and I'm going to play them. I'm just going to play them right off the site. They're not going to show the full moment, but it's just so you have an idea. And I disagree with a lot of these. Some of them are fine. Some of them I have issues with. Man, how can I put this? I don't like Rotten Tomatoes, okay? I think Rotten Tomatoes is stupid. I think Rotten Tomatoes is completely unobjective, and I think it's a really terrible ranking system. Truly, truly terrible ranking system. I disagree with most of their rankings. Now, some movies are products of their time, and when they come out at that moment, they might seem really good. However, if you see them at any other time, they're stupid, right? Now, for example, one movie that I hated that Rotten Tomatoes completely just totally loved, and it's like the best movie ever, was Wonder Woman. Now, I said, and this is how I describe Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman is the best female superhero movie I've seen to date, but that's like saying that you're the world's tallest dwarf, right? It's not that big of an accomplishment, is what I'm saying. The movie, I have a lot of issues with the movie. I can maybe break it down one day. The point is, I thought it was dumb. And one of the big things that I have against, that I've noticed in female superhero movies is that they don't really describe what their powers are. For example, if you watch Wonder Woman, can you tell me what Diana's power levels are? Because, I mean, she could take a punch in the face from Doomsday in Batman v Superman, but in Wonder Woman, a bullet breaks her skin. So punch in the face from Doomsday, who has spiked claws and spikes, by the way, does nothing to her. Doesn't even affect her makeup. A bullet from a WW1 bullet hits her in the arm, bleeding. Then she can, apparently, gas does not affect her because she walked through poisonous gas. Then all of a sudden, her bracers, is that what they're called? I think it is. When she knocks them together, they throw out a wave. But in the end, it's like a directional bolt of lightning. It's all over the place. I don't know how strong she is. I don't know like what her resistance is. I don't know anything. I had a similar issue with Captain Marvel. You know she's powerful, but you don't know how much. You don't know what she can do. You don't know shit, right? I'll give you a contrast. Shazam, probably the best sequence of the movie is the two kids trying to figure out what his fucking powers are, and it's hysterical. So that's been my main issue with those types of movies, and that's one of my biggest issues with Wonder Woman. Also because it makes no fucking sense. Also because the villain sucked, and it sucks because it was. I'm not gonna break down fucking Wonder Woman. I don't even know what I'm fucking doing. Anyway, so let's just say, and a lot of people loved it because it's a superhero movie, blah blah, girl power, blah blah, and the tomato meter for Wonder Woman overall is 93%. 93%. That is ridiculous, especially compared to this. The Dark Knight, arguably the best Batman movie, arguably the best superhero movie ever. Arguably. I say arguably because it depends on your taste and depends if you're a DC Marvel guy, whatever. The point is, arguably. But the point is, most people agree, if you're going to do a top 3, it's going to be up there. The Dark Knight has 94% fresh on Rotten Tomato. So Wonder Woman has 93%, arguably, and the best superhero movie out there arguably has 94%. Are you kidding me? The The point is because it was reviewed in the moment, in the heat of the moment. A lot of people just kind of went with like, oh, this is how it made me feel. It's like, oh, it was really great, blah, blah. You went by an emotional response and it was stupid. Also, sometimes audiences and critics don't really agree on shit. It's stupid. Or they have an agenda. Shocker. And I'll give you another example. Paddington 2 has like a fucking 100%. The Godfather has 98. So Paddington 2 has a better score than the fucking Godfather. Right? Arguably the best movie of all time. I don't think it is. I don't think it is, but you could argue it. It's an argument. So the point is, I don't like Rotten Tomatoes. Their system's stupid. And it's based too much of the emotional response of the moment. Another perfect example, fucking Black Panther. I didn't think it was a good movie. It did one of the things that I hate the most on any superhero movie ever. I hate it, loathe entirely when they do one particular thing. Here they did it. But everybody's saying like, oh, this is the greatest movie ever, blah, blah. No, it wasn't. I wouldn't even put it in the top 10 of the MCU. Maybe not even the top 15. It wasn't that great, right? But again, based on, no, it was a product of the moment. It was the cultural response, blah, blah, blah. You need to acknowledge it. No, I don't. And it's stupid. But anyway, that's just my take on Rotten Tomatoes. Let me just get into the list real quick because I've already gone 20 minutes. So let's get into this. So there's no particular rhyme or reason for this list. I don't think it's ranked in any way. So I'm just going to go from top to bottom. I'll play a little bit of the clip and I'll stop it because I don't know. I'm getting it straight out of the way. The website, they didn't pull the whole thing. So I'll just do a little clip. So the first one they have is the Remember Me moment from Mad Max Fury Road. You know? You know that Remember Me moment that nobody fucking remembers? I'll play it for you. Remember me. All right, so that was the moment. I'm okay with Mad Max Fury Road here. I think it's one of the best action movies of this century, maybe of all time. It's definitely the best chase movie for sure, of this century at least. However, when anybody thinks of Mad Max Fury Road, everybody always remembers the fucking guitar player with the flamethrower guitar. That's what everybody remembers of Mad Max Fury Road. That's one of the moments that everybody goes like, oh shit, how fucking cool is that? So yeah, swing and a miss here, stupid Rotten Tomatoes. The next one is from Avengers Infinity War, and this one I actually agree with.
You should have gone for the head.
Boom! Snapping. One of the best movie moments in the MCU. So freaking amazing. I love Infinity War so much. To me, I have a few minor issues with Infinity Wars. Minor. Mainly, I don't like what they did with Captain America. And other things. I don't even remember right now off the top of my head. But the big issue with me has always been, oh yeah, and the whole thing with Vision and Wanda was stupid. But so they're minor issues. They're okay. They're acceptable. But that was one of the greatest moments in the entire MCU. It's something that left everybody talking about for years. The snapping, it became a thing. So great moment. Do not argue with it. I don't think there's anything else to come close to it in Infinity War. Let me think off the top of my head. That's the moment of that movie. So I'll leave it. It's fine there. Maybe if Thor would have come back and they would have had the oh my god moment, which also was another one of my minor complaints. Maybe, but still, nope. The snapping takes it. All right, next one. It's Satine's entrance from Moulin Rouge. Here's a little bit of the clip.
It's her, the sparkling diamond.
All right, so I saw this movie a long time ago, but I liked it. I like musicals in general; they're fine. I'll give it to them. You know, you got Ewan McGregor, Nicole Kidman. Her entrance is the moment where he falls in love with her, kind of, pretty much, and it's where the audience falls for her as well. So I'll give it to her. I can't think of another musical movie that has a moment like that. Not off the top of my head, at least. So I'll give it to him. Fine. You got two right there. The next one, we got anything from the Joker from The Dark Knight, apparently. Here's a clip.
Me watching, he takes the knife to her, laughing while he does it. He turns to me and he says, "Why so serious?"
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are tonight's entertainment. There's so many quotes. Honestly, I could even forgive him that one. Moments, I don't know, the one where he's just clapping, which was, by the way, completely one. Heath Ledger kind of pulled that out of his hat. It was a completely improv from Heath Ledger when he's just clapping at Gordon. I know you can't see me, but whatever. That one, I'm gonna make this pencil disappear. So there's so many great moments. It's fine. It's the first time when he does the "why so serious." So I'll leave it. It's fine. Anything with Heath Ledger was good. So the next one is Heather's confessional from the Blair Witch Project. Here's a little bit from it. You didn't hear anything. The best moments was like, I'm so scared. So that's, yeah, I get it. The Blair Witch Project is a very important film for many reasons, mainly because it started kind of a genre, like the discovered footage genre, and it showed people that you can make a very successful movie with no money. They had like no money for this one, and made millions and millions of dollars. It was very successful at the box office, so indie filmmakers love this movie. The problem is that after the Blair Witch Project, everybody wanted to make a Blair Witch Project, and I don't think it worked. I think the first ones that actually made it work were the dudes from here in San Diego who made the whole Paranormal Activity franchise. But before that, I can't think of another one that actually made it work quite as well. So I'll give it to him. That was it was the important moment from a very important movie. So after that, we got the upside down kiss from Spider-Man. Here's a little bit how it sounded like.
You have a knack for getting in trouble.
You have a knack for saving my life.
All right, so Mary Jane, wet t-shirt, Spider-Man upside down, kiss in the rain. Now, I don't care what anybody says about the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies. For their time, I really enjoyed them. I like Tobey Maguire as Peter Parker. His Spider-Man left something to be desired of, but I like his Peter Parker well enough. And that moment, it's impossible that anybody who watched that movie and had a girlfriend did not recreate that moment in some way or another. Like, you're just laying down and you start kissing or something. You reach from the other side. So, yeah, iconic movie for sure. I remember, I think it was even in the MTV Video Music Awards that Sarah Michelle Gellar and Jack Black made a spoof of this. I think you probably find it online, where Sarah Michelle Gellar takes off Jack Black's mask, and he's got a painted Yoda on his face. It's upside down, so it looks like it's actually Yoda talking. It's pretty funny. Like, make out with me, you will. So, all right, I'll give it. It is an iconic moment. Next one is London is Deserted from 28 Days Later. Here's what it sounds like. Dude's just walking around. I always forget that guy's name. Cillian Murphy. Cillian Murphy's just walking around. There's nobody there. Whew. I'm kind of torn on this one. 28 Days Later is an important zombie film. It did a lot for the genre. However, I remember the first time I actually saw zombie runners, I think, was Dawn of the Dead, which came out a few years early. And the thing that's scary about 28 Days Later is that they're runners. Now, walkers are lame. Runners are actually scary. But I think that's the first time that you actually see, like, the deserted world and stuff. So, important moment. I'm not it's an important moment for the movie. I'm just not sure if the movie is important enough. So, hopefully that makes sense to you. I maybe would have put something else there in the horror genre. Off the top of my head, you know what? Not off the top of my head. I can't think of a moment from Dawn of the Dead that's more iconic. Maybe when he has the zombie baby. Maybe. Yeah, I think it's the zombie baby thing, probably. But it's still really fucked up. Anyway, next movie we have another The Kiss in the Rain from The Notebook.
I wrote you every day for a year.
You wrote me?
Yes. It wasn't over. Still isn't over.
All right, so you got the most iconic moment from The Notebook, probably the most famous romantic movie of all time. I'm kidding. I know it's not the most famous one of all time, but the past 21 years, it's not my favorite romantic movie, definitely, but it has its moments. It's okay. It's an okay movie. The thing that I like about it is that the competition is not really an a-hole. Now, there's a thing about rom-coms or other romantic movies where the competition for the main guy is a total a-hole, and you're like, oh, fuck that guy. Stick with Noah, you know? Noah's he's a good dude. Here, the other guy, you know, Cyclops, played by Cyclops, he's actually a pretty good dude, and he loves her. So I like that aspect of it. I don't think I'd seen it before or recently. So it's important. It's a couple movie. You usually watch it with your girl. That's how I watched it, at least. So it's okay. It's important. When people usually reference romantic movies, they usually go for The Notebook. So I'll allow it. Next one is Crossing the Edmund Peters Bridge from Selma. Here we go. By the way, Selma, 99% on Rotten Tomatoes. The Godfather, 98%. Selma, 99%. Here we go.
The people have spoken, and if they want to march, then I'm marching with them.
All right. Over fucking rated. Yeah, I saw the movie. I was bored. But if you're going to, I'm guessing they're going here for like, no, we need like a historical movie, something that's like racially motivated and all that stuff. Why would you not go with Remember the Titans? Remember the Titans, to me, it's probably the best movie of that. Or, you know what? Maybe even better, 12 Years a Slave. Okay, if you're going to go for that end, because that's probably the only reason why this movie's here, go, because otherwise, there's nothing else. I don't think anybody saw this movie. I've never heard anybody ever mention Selma for anything. I've heard 12 Years a Slave being mentioned a lot. I've heard Remember the Titans being mentioned a lot. I've never heard anybody ever mention Selma. In fact, if I didn't tell you that what the movie's about, you probably wouldn't even know. Like, I'm just not going to tell you, and if you know what the movie is, fine. If you don't, whatever. So the point here is, I would have put a clip from as a bigger iconic movie moment. I would have put 12 Years a Slave, and there's so many from them. There's so many. The whipping scene, the scene where he's just hanging. Oh God, that's brutal. It's brutal to watch that one. When he gets taken, when he goes back with his family. No, there's. 12 Years a Slave is a great movie. It's a great movie. It's fantastically acted all around. I have no idea how Michael Fassbender did not win the Oscar for Best Supporting Actor. I know it went to what was it? What was the movie? Cowboy? No, it's not Cowboy. The one where Matthew McConaughey and God, I'm blanking out right now. It's the newest Joker. What the hell is that idiot's name? He sings for 30 Seconds to Mars. It's gonna come back to me eventually. But Dallas Buyers Club. Okay, those two guys wanted for Dallas Buyers Club. I thought Michael Fassbender did a better job. I did. So anyway, or Remember the Titans. There's so many memorable moments from Remember the Titans. You know when they're in Gettysburg and the cemetery, the run all the way to Gettysburg, and he gives them the speech of why they should come together, and if they don't, they will. If we don't come together in this hallowed ground, we too shall be destroyed. That was a great moment. Or when the defensive coach is like, I'm done with this shit. Like, and he's like, we won't let him gain another yard. We blitz all night. We'll make them remember forever the night they play the Titans. Whew! Goosebumps. I love that. I love that movie. Sunshine. He's from California. He's a Californian? No, dude. And there's no sports movies on this list so far. What the fuck? Anyway, the point is, 99% Rotten Tomatoes, overrated. And this is why Rotten Tomatoes is pure garbage. Anyway, let's moving on. Cars Don't Fly from Furious 7. Here it is. Oh, that was basically... was that the whole clip? That was it. That was the whole clip. Just the car breaking through a window. And you didn't even see the car breaking. It's just the car flying. Anyway, are you fucking kidding me? I'll be honest. I haven't seen the 7th movie. I haven't. Furious 7. But to me, the best movie of the franchise was the first one. and it should be the most important one because it started the fucking franchise. If it wasn't any good, there wouldn't have been a second one or a Tokyo Drift one. Or I don't even know if the next one is the third one. I don't even know. And there's so many iconic moments from the first one. I live my life a quarter mile at a time. Boom. You know what's the movie that I've quoted most in my life? The Fast and the Furious. You know what fucking line? It doesn't matter if it's by an inch or a mile. Winning's winning. I can't tell you how many times in my life I've said that line over and over. It's the most quotable line of the fucking movie. I've said it multiple times throughout my life. It doesn't matter if it's by an inch or a mile. Winning's winning. This list is bullshit. Anyway, so by the way, it wasn't until I saw Point Break that I learned that The Fast and the Furious was pretty much a ripoff of Point Break. But that's neither here nor there. It's still a great movie, and I think that the first one is still heads and shoulder better than at least the next 5, because I haven't seen 6 or 7 because I was done. Anyway, the next movie is Juan Teaches Chiron to Swim in Moonlight.
That right there, you're in the middle of the world.
Full disclosure, I haven't seen this movie, but it's got a 98% Rotten Tomatoes, which means it has to be as good as The Godfather, right? I haven't heard anybody outside of film school talk about this movie, because people in film school, you kind of have to watch all they try to go for all the artsy that stuff. I kind of stood away from that. I haven't heard anybody in the real world talk about this movie ever. I haven't heard anybody talk about this movie outside of 2016 or 2017, or outside of how it won the Oscar for Best Movie. Well, because it was the whole, controversy over La La Land saying that it was the winner, but it turns out that it was actually Moonlight. Other than that, I haven't heard anybody say anything ever, and that's why I didn't watch it. So, if you're gonna go, I'm guessing because it's a moonlighting. Moonlight is because it's the story of a homosexual African American. So, if you're gonna go for the homosexual angle, you need an iconic one for that. Blue is the Warmest Color is a very good movie about lesbians. And it's a bold movie. They really get up in there. When I was watching the movie, I remember thinking dude, these actresses are fearless. Holy shit. They weren't afraid of anybody seeing anything. However, the movie's French, so it might not be for everybody. If you want to go for the other, probably most important movie about gay people of all time that everybody always references, or at least mentions, or at least knows, a little movie called Brokeback Mountain. Anybody? Brokeback Mountain, anybody? I Wish I Could Quit You. Yeah, that is actually a really good movie. I remember when I saw it, I was like, holy shit, this is a legit love story. And no, it's a little weird sometimes, but I like Ann Lee. He handles everything really well. And I remember the whole time you're like, dude, this is just, it's a love movie. It's a beautiful movie about love. And because there's still parts of you that it's kind of it weirds you out, but you understand that they love each other. It's really well made. And so, yeah, I love that movie. It's a great movie, and it should have been over this one. Because when anybody thinks about a movie about gay people, they think Brokeback Mountain, or they make a reference out of it. I remember I couldn't dress up. All my life, I wanted to be 3 things. One is, in no particular order, it's either a pirate, a Viking, or a cowboy. I remember that in every Halloween since Brokeback Mountain was even the trailer came out, I cannot dress up as a cowboy without anybody making some kind of a gay reference. It's impossible. It's, in a way, it's sad because it ruined that. Fortunately, Red Dead Redemption came out and cowboys became cool again. So that's the only thing that I resent from Brokeback Mountain, that it made cowboys uncool for a minute, but and you get the point. Anyway, moving on. Next movie, Carl and Ellie in the opening of Up. Here's a little bit from it.
Do you think you got what it takes? Well, do you? Yeah. All right, you're in. Welcome aboard.
That opening gets ya. It gets ya. It's I will give it to them. It's Pixar at their finest. Ooh, it's short. The only problem with that is that the best part of the movie is at the beginning. The first few minutes of Up are the best part of the movie, so I'll give it to it. That is the most iconic moment. I personally would have picked a more iconic movie. So, again, it's a similar issue to another movie before. Really iconic moment, not an iconic film, if that makes any sense at all. Hope it did, because to me it makes perfect sense, and I think I'm being perfectly clear. Very iconic moment, not an iconic film. However, is the moment bigger than... I would have gone with something from Toy Story, honestly. You're a sad, sad little man. I think it came out in 99. No, it was 97. Let me just double check that real quick. Well, at least Toy Story 2, which some people argue that it's the better Toy Story. No, Toy Story 1 came out in 95. That's why. All right. Toy Story 2 came out in 99, so they could have picked something from Toy Story 2. Yeehaw! Anyway, no, it didn't. It's fine. It's okay. I'll allow it, because that opening sequence is really good. It's up there. It's up there in the best opening sequence for Pixar. Anyway, next one, we got Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers. Gollum talking to Smeagol. Here's a little bit from that.
You're a liar and a thief.
No.
That's a great moment. Whew. And a great movie, too. And I've done that before. I did it on the podcast back in the day. I should do it more, where I'm just talking to myself. You're crazy. I'm not crazy. You're a little crazy. No, I'm not. Yes, you are. Shut the fuck up, man. You can feel it. Don't push me, bro. So I did that. I think about how the conversation went about the creation of Pokemon. I think that's how I did it. I should do that more. That was fun. That's an enjoyable thing. Great moment. But the problem there is the Twin Towers is not... the Twin Towers. The Two Towers is not the best movie in the franchise. And where does it rank? The problem is the Lord of the Rings is so good. All three of them are so good. To me, it's not... Oh, God. It's my favorite one is Fellowship, because it has the boast Boromir, and Boromir is my favorite character. However, the third one I know is the better movie. The only issue is that it has too many endings, but it's still the best one in the franchise. So, why didn't they go with something from The Return of the King? It makes no sense. There's one that's actually super easy. Why don't I think about it? If you think of Lord of the Rings, there's one thing that immediately comes to mind. You shall not pass! Boom! The Balrog versus Gandalf. How was it not that? I mean, great moment. You can find so many great moments in this movie. Legolas taking down an elephant. That still only counts as one. So many. Saruman and Gandalf having like the little fight, the little magical fight. Well, where is it? Where Gandalf comes back as the White, where he tries to remove Saruman from his influence from the king of the Éomer. No, it's not Éomer. From the king of Rohan. I don't remember his name right now. There's so many great moments throughout the franchise. I think they went with the basic bitch one. It's a great moment. Andy Serkis is phenomenal in The Lord of the Rings. The Lord of the Rings in general are phenomenal, but come on. You could have picked a better moment. Honestly, I can't think of a better moment than You Shall Not Pass. I mean, iconic. Because who hasn't quoted that? Who hasn't quoted that? Anybody? No? If I say You Shall Not Pass, who doesn't know what that means? Anybody? I don't think so. Anyway, moving on to the bridesmaids get food poisoning from bridesmaids. Here's a little bit how that sounds.
Oh.
I think my dress was probably just tight.
Oh, my God. You got food poisoning from that restaurant, didn't you?
I'm glad that they cut the clip there. Let's say poop humor is not my type of humor. It's funny. Who doesn't enjoy a funny fart? It's not my type of humor. If I have to think off the top of my head, the funniest moment that has to do with diarrhea for me, or when I have diarrhea with all that stuff, is probably American Pie. You know, when Finch, when he's running to the restroom and Stifler tricks him to go into the woman's one. I think that's funny because it was made in a classy way, somewhat. But all right, Bridesmaids was whatever, honestly. All right, so far we haven't had comedies. I think this is the first comedy here. The most important, I want to say iconic, but I think the best comedy of this century, or at least the one that completely that blew everybody out at its time, was The Hangover. How is that? And I checked the list, by the way. The Hangover's not in there. So this should have been something from The Hangover. If we're going comedy here, it should have been something from The Hangover. And it has so many moments. Freaking Mike Tyson walking in. Baby Carlos. You're literally too stupid to insult. There's so many great moments from the freaking Tiger. Jesus Christ. There's so many great moments from The Hangover, and it's a way better comedy. Bridesmaids is honestly forgettable. I saw it. I honestly do not remember what it's really about. I remember it's who's the lead? I don't know. I don't even know. I just saw Melissa. I just saw the clip, and I don't even remember what it's about or what the big issue is. I think it's just one friend getting jealous of a new friend. Anyway, moving on. Harry Potter and Lord Voldemort to duel from Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2. Now, this one is tough. It's tough because I'm not exactly sure. Oh, it's an important moment. It's a very important moment in the freaking movie. Okay, in the franchise, because it's the end. However, I don't think it's the most iconic moment in the franchise. Not even close. I mean, you're a wizard, Harry. That thing's... I think that's a little bit bigger, right? So the Sorting Hat. Please not Slytherin. Please not Slytherin. Please not Slytherin. There's so many. It's such a big franchise. There's so many iconic moments. I would have gone with something from Sorcerer's Stone just because it was the first one. The dragon thing was pretty cool. Ooh, the dragon scene from Goblet of Fire. That was pretty badass. Dude, there's so. I have certain issues with Harry Potter, and I've said it before. My issue is that the third one was the best one, and it kind of goes downhill from there. So, no, I disagree with this one. They could have found a way better moment. Same as Lord of the Rings. There's a lot of great moments in it. They did not pick the best one. So, moving on to Avengers Assemble in New York from Marvel's The Avengers. Here's a little bit. All right, so yeah, that's a scene, you know, where the camera spinning around the Avengers the first time they're like together and stuff. Yeah, I'll give it to them. That was a very important movie moment. It was an amazing build up for the MCU. It did something that not everybody knew that could be done. It could be well handled. So yeah, super important moment. I'll give it to them. I will give it to them. And I think it's the first time that they're actually together doing stuff. You know, well, being heroes, I think, in a single shot. Pretty sure. Anyway, the next one we have is the government lobby scene from The Matrix. Here's a little bit. Yes, 1,000 times yes. There's a lot of important, iconic moments from The Matrix, the blue pill, the red pill, but the coolest moment, it has to be the slow motion lobby scene. That has to be. I remember they even kind of made a parody of that scene in Conker's Bad Hair Day. Yeah, that one takes the cake for The Matrix. And The Matrix has a lot of moments. A lot of very, very important moments. But yes, 1,000 times yes. Because that was one of the best action scenes of the 90s. And said it meant it. Anyway, moving on. I See Dead People from The Sixth Sense. Here's a little bit.
I want to tell you a secret now. I see dead people.
Now, I haven't seen The Sixth Sense. I mentioned this before. A friend of mine spoiled it for me. He told me the ending of the movie, and so I never watched it because it's kind of important, you know? It's got a big spoiler in it, so I haven't watched it because of it. But even somebody like me who's never seen the movie knows that's that freaking scene. I see dead people. I probably made jokes about it before. So, yeah, Important moment. Important movie. Is it M. Night Shyamalan's best? I don't know. Well, I can't say because I haven't seen it. And I like science. And I really love Unbreakable. So, tough to say. One day I'll watch it. Maybe. I don't know. Anyway, next one we have the chest waxing scene from the 40-Year-Old Virgin. Here's a little bit.
Oh, we're gonna need more wax!
I'm staying.
All right. Kelly Clarkson! That was such a good movie, man. The 40-Year-Old Virgin was a game changer in many ways. You got Steve Carell there. You got Paul Rudd. You got Seth Rogen. Dude, Judd Apatow outdid himself on that one. That might have been the career makers for all three of those guys. Because before they were kind of secondary. I mean, Steve Carell had The Office and he was going places with that. But Seth Rogen, I think he'd only been on Freaks and Geeks. And then there was another Judd Apatow show about being in college. Was it Accepted? No, that was a movie. There was a movie where there's a show where he's in college, I think. But still, forgettable. I think it was his real big break. Well, not really big break, but it set them off in the mainstream world, and Paul Rudd for sure before he wasn't really that well known. So yeah, the 40-Year-Old Virgin was a great movie overall, and that is the most iconic moment from it. Yeah, Kelly Clarkson. So it made Steve Carell a superstar. So honestly, I hadn't seen The Office before when I saw the 40-Year-Old Virgin. So to me, this was a completely new guy. So yeah, I'll give it to them. Great one. Great pick right there. The next one, No Man's Land from Wonder Woman. Here we go. What the fuck? Out of all the superhero movies out there, out of all the female empowerment movies out there, they went with, and also out of all the moments in Wonder Woman, they went with the stupidest moment of the stupidest movie they could pick. How freaking retarded is this? I don't understand it. I already did a rant on Wonder Woman, so I'm gonna let this one go. Let's just say I'm disappointed. Yeah, actually, you know what? I'm not disappointed because this is exactly what I'd expect from Rotten Tomatoes. Hot fucking garbage. Anyway, moving on. And I think this is the last one. Okay. Santa's here? I know him! From Elf. Wait. Why isn't this playing? It doesn't have the clip. It's the last fucking one and they don't have the fucking clip. Fucking classic Rotten Tomatoes, bro. Classic Rotten fucking Tomatoes. Anyway, of course you have to have a Will Ferrell comedy in here. Is it his most all right, let's just get this out of the way. Elf is not Will Ferrell's best movie. It's not his most quotable movie. It's a fun movie. It's okay, but it's not his best. Personally, I have a soft spot in my heart for old school. I love old school. If I have to think, I know Anchorman is, from San Diego, Anchorman is really important out here. So I'm trying to think. If I have to pick a Will Ferrell moment, it's not even from a Will Ferrell movie. To me, Wedding Crashers it was the best comedy until I saw The Hangover. I remember when I saw Wedding Crashers the first time, I was crying, laughing, my stomach hurt. It was great. It was the best comedy I'd seen up till that point. Before that, it was probably like Ace Ventura or something silly. But up to that point, I think that the best one that I saw was Wedding Crashers. And for a while, I hadn't laughed that hard, and that to the point where your stomach hurts until I saw The Hangover. So, wait, you know what? Wow, if I'm just going to talk out of my ass, might as well just check when Wedding Crashers came out. So Wedding Crashers came out in 2005, so it totally fits in here. It could fit in this list. And if I'm going with a Will Ferrell moment, it'd be like, Ma! The meatloaf! Ma! So honestly, I would have gone with something from Wedding Crashers. If you want to pick Will Ferrell, I'd go with that one. But if I'm going to go with a Will Ferrell movie, oh God, I love old school. It's old school or Anchorman off the top of my head. And old school, the Frank the Tank, we gotta go go streaking to the quad. It's a gymnasium. So, that's Old School is just such a good movie. Spanish! Do you believe that we gave you enough slack? I don't remember the whole line, but wait, I'm missing the most important one. You're my boy, Blue. You're my boy. Dust in the wind. God, Old School. I love Old School. Old School or Anchorman. Stay classy, San Diego. You know what? If I have to pick, I'd go with Old School. If I have to pick, but if I'm going with a non-Will Ferrell movie, I'd go with Wedding Crashers. And the point is, you know what? Any one of those three, better than Elf. Any one of those three, either it's Anchorman, Old School, or Wedding Crashers, better than Anchorman, and I think Wedding Crashers beats out the other two. So, okay, that's it. That's it for the list. Rotten Tomatoes proved that it still sucks, and that it's still stupid, and that I was right all along. So, anyway, hopefully you enjoyed that. Tomorrow I will be doing the whole trivia thing that I said. Well, I'm not going to be doing the trivia thing. So basically what I'm going to be doing is I have a whole bunch of clips saved from Throwback Trivia. So I'm just going to play some of the clips and you guys can guess what they are. So I'll play the clip. I might do it twice. And then you'll just guess. And I'll tell you the answer after a few seconds. I'll give you like a few seconds to figure it out. I don't know if it's going to be interesting or not, but people said it might be fun for them. So I'll do that tomorrow. And we'll see how it works out. If it's just too much dead air, I may not do it ever again. But I'll give it a shot. I can give it a shot. You never know. It might work out. Anyway, that's it for today. As always, you can find me on Instagram at Dario the Show. Any comments, questions, or suggestions there. As always, thank you for listening, and I'll see you again tomorrow.